Okay, welcome to the meeting, the October 18th meeting of the Shrewsbury Council on Aging. If we could go around the table and everyone introduce themselves and give their title or connection to this group. And Meenu, can we start with you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Meenu Sharma. I'm one of the board members. I joined a year ago. This is my second year. And thank you for having me here.
Renee D'Argento, I'm the outreach coordinator here at the Council on Aging.
Casey Bogan, I'm the Assistant Director at the Council on Aging.
Holly Luke, Council on Aging Director.
Alex Roman, Council on Aging Chair. I have to get used to saying that.
Jean Campanello, Council on Aging Vice Chair.
Lori Jones, Secretary.
Betsy Zweig, Activities Committee.
Rachel Kleiman-Wexler, a member, a new board member as of last month.
Judy Goodstein, board member.
Okay, as a town group, we adhere to the open meetings law, we follow Robert's rules, and the meeting is televised and recorded by the town cable group. I think that covers everything.
Yes, it does.
The first item on our agenda is to, I guess I should call the meeting to order. I didn't do that. But the first item, official item, is to review and accept the September minutes. Are there any edits to the minutes, corrections?
I have just a minor correction under the director's report, number C, second paragraph, van drivers, Holly proposed TM. I finally figured out TM was town manager, but I think we should just say town manager in the minutes for clarity. That's my only adjustment.
Anyone else have any corrections to the minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Any other discussion? I presume not. And let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Financial reports.
Yep, so that is me. You'll notice that for the month of October with the year-to-date budget report, being able to do it into Adobe and add comments. I was trying to add comments to make it easy for everyone, especially our new board member, Raquel, to kind of take a look at and understand which fund does what. And with that said, are there any questions to the financial reports that were given?
I have a question, just a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
On page 2, services not classified, there is an item for 1780. I was just wondering what that might be for.
I'm on page 2, 1780.
1780.
Oh, $1,780.98.
Where is it?
It's on page 2.
Yeah.
I believe that was for
Yeah.
the Heroes Awards food. Wait, actually, no, it wasn't. Do you remember, Casey, what that, can you look, while we're
Yeah,
here
I'm
at the meeting,
looking
can you
now,
look
yep.
that up? If we want to move on from, did you have another question?
I
Because Casey
do,
can look it up.
and that, under the gift account,
Mm-hmm.
there was a, oh, no, still under services, dues and membership, 2,073. What is that? What are those dues and membership?
Those, so
reflective
those
of.
aren't, that is part of what we have available to use. So actually, that's, so when you're looking at that, you're looking at the year-to-date, those weren't actually
Okay.
expended. Those are what we have available to spend, sorry,
Okay.
now I'm looking at that
Okay.
different. So the $1,780.98, along with the $2,073.36 is what is actually appropriated for those two categories,
And not spent,
not spent.
okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. I need to be recognized by the chair.
Yes,
Hi.
Judy.
Sorry. I'm confused. So we'll go to the top one, which was where the 1780 is.
Mhm.
So 4,000 is what was budgeted.
Mhm.
1780 is
So
it says actual, because then available budget says 2219.
So it went down.
So isn't 1780 what we've spent and then 2219
Okay,
what's
yep.
left?
Yes, you're correct. Let me retract. Okay, so the revised budget, so the 4,000 in the column in front is what was appropriated. We have spent $1,780.98 so far for services not classified. So services not classified is for basically something that we weren't expecting. That's not a part of the line items when we go to the Finance Committee to appropriate where all the funds will go. So what we have left is the available budget of $2,219.02.
So are
So
these
those are
itemized somewhere so that we can see what the 1790?
Yep, so
Was
the
80,
spreadsheet that we shared with you on the COA board information drive has all of those individual items also.
Okay,
So the spreadsheet that we shared in the COA board drive has the budget spreadsheets and has everything that Casey and I expend, line item with description.
okay, thanks.
I have a question on how much leeway do you have to exceed any budget line item, revised budget?
There is none, not for the general fund.
Okay.
We
I
have
didn't
to,
think
we
so.
have to follow this.
Okay. And are we on track as far as budget goes for the fiscal year?
Yes.
I know it's early,
Yep.
relatively speaking.
Yeah, so, again, one of the reasons why we created the COA board budget spreadsheet was so that you can see the weekly updates. So we do invoices every Tuesday, and we do deposits every Thursday. So if you can go into that budget spreadsheet, and it's a working document, so each week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's updated.
Holly, I just have one additional question.
Sure.
Under the gift fund, if I'm reading it the same way, it's a $1,000 expenditure.
We have not used the gift fund at all. So right now, the available budget of our gift fund is $21,395.33. The only time we've used the gift fund, if at all, is for deposits.
Well,
So if we go below on this year-to-date budget report, the final component, which says total gift fund, total expenses minus 36, and then there's a year-to-date actual for 1,000.
I see what you're looking at. So this also includes anything that, like, activity that happened in fiscal year '23. We're in fiscal year '24. So the year-to-date actual I'm honestly not exactly sure what that figure is. But we have not, because you can also see when you look over at the side, it shows the amount 13,000, 41,000, 15,000. So it's charges allowed. Wait a minute. It's all of the activity of the gift fund that gets transferred over from year to year. For the gift fund, the thing to watch is anything that is in the available budget. We haven't spent any money from the gift fund.
Okay. Well,
Yes, Judy.
we used to get, I think everyone still has, well, I'm speaking for myself, so I'll only speak for myself. I still have some confusion on the new format, although I understand what you're saying. But what we used to get, which was the Excel spreadsheet, showed what the actual, what was actually in, let's say there's $1,000 expenditure, it showed us what that was.
For the gift fund.
Is there, for all of them. So is there any way that we can still get that information at our board meetings?
That is
It
part-
wasn't
that is-
done when you had it, when you were, when there was no assistant, and then there was a question whether it could still be exported to an Excel spreadsheet, but is there a a way that we can get that information in any format at the board.
So that, as I just described, the budget spreadsheet, there's tabs on the bottom for each account that we have. There's the gift fund, there's a revolving account, there's the formula grant. Then we broke up the general fund into different pieces. That's all in the budget spreadsheet that I shared with all of the board members. It's in there, you can look at it
Can
right
we
now.
make it an attachment to the, went to your monthly email before the board meeting?
Sure.
So that we can have it? Thank you.
And I have one other question. With the WRTA taking over the scheduling of the transportation, is the budget going to move out of this to somewhere else? Are we still paying for that? Will they be charging us for
So-
anything?
No. So the WRTA, we have a contract with them, and we receive funds to help pay for salaries of our van drivers. That does not change any, like, that, our revolving account doesn't have anything to do with WRTA. It only has to do with our COA white van. So
Okay.
there's nothing else that will change with under the new transportation model. It won't change any of the budgets.
Okay, well then this says on page 3, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, DOT transportation, COA 0%.
So that is a grant.
Right.
That has nothing to do with, and that's actually a grant that was last year.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on the budget, financials?
I just had
You
one
guys-
question. So I
Yeah.
see on the last row, it says we have around 155K left for the rest of the year.
Which section, what page are you on?
Very last line
Six.
of the report. If you add all the available budget for all the categories, we're left with 155. So,
Um,
57.
like 157K.
So that grand total, I'm not exactly sure what that last line is. All of the highlighted items are the parts, the areas where we should be focused on.
No, I did sum up all the available budgets and it is coming out to be what it is.
Okay.
So that is, the figure 157, 155 is close to what is in all the other categories of available budget. So is that on your expected lines? Are we like going on the right, or you think because we still have
So
a year
if-
left?
If you added all of the budgets, the total lines together and included the gift fund,
Yeah.
I have no plans of expending the gift fund. So, with the board had come up with policies, and one of the policies is, under the gift fund, is that I'm not to, use anything more than $300 without receiving approval from the COA board to use monies from the gift fund. So as far as your grand total line, of what we can expend for the rest of fiscal year '24, that's not accurate.
So you're saying 155K is not the accurate figure of what we are left with, like what we can spend?
Not if that is adding up all of the accounts. So, because,
What is it then?
That minus the gift fund.
so, again, if you go up to the very top on page 1, and you can see where I highlighted general fund, and I left a little comment. General fund is the town-approved budget, okay? And then it's broken up into different areas, which includes salaries. Then if you go down, continued on page 1, the next highlighted item, it says OPEX, OPEX. That's the operating account of the general fund. So then if you keep going down, you can see how the operating account, which we were talking about earlier, is broken up into different sections, which includes the services not classified, periodicals, postage stationery, supplies, car allowance, dues and memberships, training and conferences, which leaves us the rest of the operating budget at $9,596.84. Then, if you scroll down again, the total general fund of what we have left, including all of the things from above, is $64,895.45.
Yep.
Okay, on page 4, now anything that I grade out are things that are not existing anymore. These are past, that are still included into the year-to-date spreadsheets. But if you go back down and on page 4, it says taxi livery partnership. That is what we were awarded this year. And again, if you hover on the comment, it says this taxi livery grant, we were awarded $60,000. The amount expended does not include September, October financials. This grant ends on November 4th. So you can see that we're almost at half of the money that we were awarded. Then still on page 4, you can see the last highlighted item on the left. It starts with gift fund, but the gift fund goes on to page 5. At the total gift fund, $21,395.33. If you hover over the comment, the gift fund is the account in which donations are deposited. Still in that line, it talks about the revolving fund. The revolving account is where we pay for driver salaries when they drive the town-owned white vans, van driver physicals, and van maintenance. The remaining balance of the total revolving fund is $16,623.39. Those are the budgets, all the line items that are highlighted are the line items that I request that the board pays attention to, which aligns with the spreadsheet that I was talking about, which is shared on your COA board information drive.
That helps. Yep.
Yeah.
That clarification helps, Judy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Judy, yes.
Pardon me. So if we go to the bottom, and I heard what you just said about all the funds and the gift funds and et cetera, we've used 67% of our budget to date. Does that, I guess the question is, where are we with respect to the fiscal year? And is using 67% on track for the year?
Yes, so again, it would be easier if, and for November, I will share the link so we can pull up the link at the same time. Although if most of you have your laptops, you can reach that link, that drive right now. We are on track. One of the things that, to keep in mind is last year for fiscal year 23, we were able to give some money back to the town, to put back into the town funds. This year, my plan is to use all of the money that was appropriated by the town first, and then utilize the formula grant where needed.
And maybe one thing that is misleading is the encumbrances include the salaries and wages for the whole fiscal year. Is that not correct?
Yes, so
encumbered.
yes.
So that throws the percentage off, I think. Because you're right, it looks like, here we are, a quarter into the fiscal year.
And we spent
And,
30%, yeah.
We're way down on what's remaining.
Yep, and so we have not received fiscal year 24's formula grant funds yet, but we typically don't get them from the state until about January or February anyways. But the town allows us to spend them once we have the documents, which we do. Any other questions on the financials?
Okay, to move on. Director's report. Renee, you're up first.
All right. What do I talk about first? Regarding programs, we have a very busy schedule of programs coming up. In addition to what Casey and Holly has planned. And this coming month in November, Coffee with a Cop is moving to the Towers. We're going to take that on the road to different locations, and we felt the Housing Authority might be a good place to start at the Towers. And that's going to be on Monday, November 13th, from 9 to 10:30, and everyone is invited to attend, not just the people at the Towers. And Jason Palmetier will be there. He usually has another officer with him, and they bring coffee and donuts. So please join us and get to know your officers and your community and your neighbors as well. Also, Raquel, our board member, has graciously offered, and we're going to have a new program, medication and prescription reviews monthly that she's going to be doing. So basically, the medication review, people will sign up, just like as they do for the Shine, and by appointment, and it will be the third Monday of the month, starting November 21st from 9 to 12. She will be there only if there are appointments, so people can make them by calling the reception desk at the senior center. And basically, she's offering this service for free. She's a licensed pharmacist, and under Medicare Part D, people are able to take advantage of this service with their own pharmacist and with their health provider, but often they don't because they don't know about the program. And the purpose of that is to review medications as well as your over-the-counter drugs or over-the-counter supplements to ensure that there's safety and potential efficacy of your prescriptions, and that there are no potential, deleterious effects from those. People can do that every year, and Raquel is going to do that for us monthly, so starting in November.
Great.
Thank you.
Gonna
That's
try.
And it's, I saw in the newsletter, it's private. There's a.
It's
you follow the
confidential,
normal
private.
confidential and
Oh, yeah.
privacy.
That's correct, yep, just like with the Shine program. And it's a great complement to the Shine program as well, because, open enrollment right now is going through December 7th, and people are reviewing their health insurance coverage as well as their prescription coverage. And the other goal of the program is to ensure that people, if they have high out-of-pocket costs and they're in the donut hole for their prescriptions, there is help out there, and Raquel can make people aware of that help for paying for those potentially. So we hope that people will sign up, and I think it's going to be a great program. We're also going to have a Medicare Advantage program, an information session held by a Mass General Brigham Health Plan representative, and that's going to be November 14th from 10 to 11. Fuel assistance, we're going to be taking fuel assistance applications and share the warmth applications. I've received a lot of calls. People have not received their renewals in the mail from SMOC. They're very late sending them out. Some people have, but a lot of people haven't. And I suspect that it's because they're consistently short on help. And also, they had many thousands more applications regionally in the region they cover last year. So those renewals are slow in going out. And hopefully, people should have them by the end of October. You have a question?
Yes. So how do seniors learn about this, that they're eligible and it's available?
So it's in the newsletter every month during the season. The amounts for a single person as well as for a married couple. For a single person household, and they may have gone up for FY24, this is FY23, I haven't seen the new numbers. For a single person household, it's $42,411 of income per year. And for a married couple, it's $55,461 per year. So basically, when you fall within the gross income guidelines and then you submit your household expenses, that reduces your countable income, and then hopefully that helps you qualify for as much as you're able to qualify for. Also, SNAP applications, I frequently take those, and those can be done all year. And I'm consistently trying to make people aware that they can maximize their SNAP benefits by including their medical, recurring medical expenses, healthcare expenses monthly.
Renee, I just have a question on the criteria for levels of income. You talked about their annual income. Does it include only income, or do they have to show what their assets are?
So for SMOC, for heating assistance, there is no asset qualification. It's just purely income. Yeah. For SNAP, there is an asset qualification for people who have a high amount of assets.
Okay.
I don't have that off the top of my head. Most people are not falling within that. And pensions are not counted in that. There are certain things that aren't counted. Even reverse mortgages, they're not considered income. They're considered a loan, surprisingly.
So if you are over 65 and receiving a pension as your monthly income, that's not counted?
That's not counted for SNAP.
What about for SMOC?
For SMOC, it's counted as income. Any income, your required minimum distributions from your IRA or your 401k or whatever, that's counted, but not the asset itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully people will be coming forward to help defray their cost of living expenses by applying for these programs that they qualify for. That's always my mission. I also went to the MOCA, Mass Council of Aging Conference. I attended 2 of the 3 days of the conference, and it was a really great conference. I learned quite a lot, met a lot of contacts, have a lot of ideas for programming. And some of the things that I attended were about Social Security, what you need to know, including they have warnings about people's Social Security numbers, of course, being, identity theft and things like that. And the person who made the presentation goes out and actually does presentations out in the community at senior centers, so we'll probably see if we can get her to come out. Another very interesting one, everything a savvy funeral consumer needs to know. So that's really about your legal rights to have a funeral at home with your loved one, legal rights regarding the ability to take your person, take the body, and take it to your home or take it to a grave site that's been prepared, anything like that. Very interesting workshop. And the one thing that also came out of it for me, though, is passing your digital assets to your loved ones. What happens to your digital assets when you pass? And I would love to have, there is a person who does talks on that, because we all have a huge digital footprint. A lot of us do our banking online. We have safety deposit boxes. We have all kinds of things that that your heirs should be aware of how to access and what to do with them. Another program which was really interesting is launching Nutrition Choices for Health, and that's a collaboration between MCOA and Tufts. So basically, it's a program that it's a pilot program right now, where they're going to be using a teaching kitchen model at dining centers, at councils on aging, to improve the dietary quality of meals, of lunch meals. They're starting with congregate dining centers that are not like we have, where we have Chartwells that cook on their own, and they're piloting the program there. It's going to involve teaching staff how to make simple meals that are healthy, and they're going to be recipes and things like that. Like they're devising 20 healthy recipes that they can use during the course of the month. And at some point, it would expand to other senior centers and maybe teaching some of the congregate purveyors, such as Chartwells, how how we might like to have some of those meals, and then down to the kitchen staff. So that's a really interesting program. I also attended Current Trends in Elder Law, which I really enjoyed because people are always interested in, Medicaid and estate planning, and kind of getting an idea of the pitfalls there that people wind up going through as they're trying to plan. And one of the big things that's coming down is people are using artificial intelligence to ask legal questions. Prior to that, people use LegalZoom to get forms and all kinds of things like that. And these things are very general and are not always wise when you're trying to do your planning, and having an elder law attorney is a better way to go. That was an interesting workshop. And then there were some marketing type programs, how to market your senior center to try to get more attendance, and especially different attendance from a diverse community. And one of them was about marketing brain health. So the 6 pillars of brain health: nutrition, sleep, stress management, exercise, socialization, cognitive programs. The gist of that was that we are doing these things already, and that marketing the COA or the senior center in a different way, such as these are things that you can do to help your brain health, might attract other people. And the woman who held the session said that when she marketed it in that way, she saw an increase in participation and different types of people who come to the senior center than she had seen before. So I thought that was interesting. So learned lots and lots of stuff at this conference. It was great. And I thank the COA and Holly for allowing me to attend.
Well, it sounds like you've got some great ideas to
Yeah.
implement.
And your presentation went well?
Oh, yeah, and I gave the presentation on our pilot respite program.
Uh-huh.
And I was one of four COAs who gave the presentation. They were 7 minutes long, and then questions afterwards. Unfortunately, I had to leave a little bit early because I had a presentation I was making at my town committee, and I got to hear 2 of the other 3 presentations. And the other 3 towns were from more in the western part of the state, and they were actually mainly about becoming the talk of the town for your senior center and increasing
Participation.
people coming to the center. And one of them was really interesting. She, so it was I can't remember the name of the town, but it was a very small town. And they typically get somewhere around 250 or 270 visitors a month or whatever. And she increased it to over 500
Wow.
by doing this project. And basically, she used the grant funds to highlight those who visit the center. She did interviews. They had they had these pictures and developed posters of 8 of the seniors that they interviewed, very large posters. And they had them around the senior center. They had them around different places in town, the town hall, the library, and underneath each picture was the reason why they go to the senior center and what they love about the senior center.
Nice.
And so that was really interesting. And then she also used the photos on postcards. So when they're communicating with people in the community, they had the photo and the reason why they like going to the senior center on the postcards. And I thought that would be a really wonderful way
Yes.
to market our senior center, especially if we use our volunteers. Why do I volunteer at the senior center? We're always looking for volunteers, and that might be a nice way to increase that. So just different thoughts like that. So,
I expect that's something you'll want to address in the strategic plan as a marketing component.
Yes, we will.
We always address marketing.
Yes.
And I know Casey must have some really great info.
Actually, if you can hold off.
Yep.
Just for a bit. Until we
That
get to
cover
this.
your report?
Yep.
Can
Oh,
I?
Yes.
Renee, we had talked about developing some criteria for the respite program, and we
I
had
haven't
talked-
started work on
Okay.
that yet, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just knew we had talked about discussing it at this meeting,
Yeah,
and I didn't want to let it go by.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Transportation report.
Yes.
Holly.
So just to follow up on the email that I sent out earlier this month about the findings of our transportation audit review. So we learned a tremendous amount from that review, and we're working on action plans to kind of work through the deficits that occurred. But one of the restrictions was how we utilize the vans, when we utilize our vans, and I'm not speaking of the WRTA vans, I'm speaking of just the COA vans. And there are guidelines that we were unaware of that we need to adhere to, but I am currently working with the town managers and as well as Mass DOT to kind of figure out what we need to do to get through some of those obstacles, if there are possibilities. Until we are able to figure that portion out, I've had to work with my staff and revise some of our events that we were hoping to do, especially for the winter. So one of the events that is impacted with the audit review is our Holiday Light Tour. Unfortunately, we won't be able to offer that this year. So if, we did look into opportunities to use outside charter to still be able to deliver that program. The problem with that is all of the nice charter businesses, their vehicles all have tinted windows and things like that. So kind of takes away the whole point of being able to go on a holiday light tour. So with that said, Casey and I came up with a program. If you'll go through your flyers, I believe it's like, I think it's might be the last one. It's the Senior Connection Winter Mixer. So one of the thoughts that we had was to help combat isolation, especially over the winter months, is to create an opportunity for people to come to the senior center to kind of connect with new people. People can be from out of the community. We encourage that. And what we're going to do is actually set it up as like a timestamp event. So you would come in and you'd get 5 minutes to introduce yourself to the person you're sitting next to. And Casey is going to supply some icebreaker questions to ask the people that you're sitting next to. If you make a connection, you can write your name, number, and an email on a piece of paper and share it with that person. And as I mentioned, you're under a 5-minute time limit, and then you'd be asked to shift over to the next person.
Like speed dating.
Like a speed date.
I was thinking that. too.
Nice.
But what we're doing is we're taking out the opportunity of making it a relationship, a mixed, like
Yeah, not
singles, singles
romantic.
meeting other singles.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is women can make friends with women, men can make friends with men, vice versa,
Just
whomever.
foster new friendships.
Fostering new
Right.
friendships. And at the same time, putting that little bit of holiday cheer into it, so looking your best. We want to have a photo booth there. We will have some nice appetizers that we'll get. And so what we figured was we'd allow for an hour of the 5-minute intervals that would happen, and then an hour or so afterwards for people to kind of just walk around and talk to whomever that they want to talk to. And then we thought we'd follow this up again in February and offer a smaller event, but for all those people to come back together and invite new people to kind of get out of the house and make those connections. So that's kind of where we've decided to go in lieu of not being able to offer the holiday light tours this year.
Yes. Judy?
Lori,
Laurie?
that's okay. That's all right. Maybe we just have plenty of indoor lights?
Yes.
Holiday lights, okay.
So actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. So stay tuned because I'm going to be putting out a holiday wish list, if you will. So what we would like to do is transform the senior center into like a winter wonderland for the whole month of December, and then really, really bring that to shine the day of the event. And we'd be able to leave it up for the month of January too. So absolutely, that's what we're planning on doing.
Okay.
So just to get back on the transportation, what I did want to let everybody know is we got 2 full-time van drivers, and one of them starts on October 30th. The next one begins on November 13th. So those 2 van drivers will be driving the WRTA vehicles. They'll be working 37.5 hours a week. They will be following the same schedule that the senior center is on. One of the things that I can share is that, so one of the policies that we came up with is that the vehicles, all of our vehicles are always parked at least 1/2 hour before the end of our day to allow for communication with the van drivers to see how their days went, if there were any issues. It also allows them to finish up on their paperwork. So that's how we're going to be following that model. We've had to, as you might be aware, had to put off like kind of special trips because we've been short-staffed with our van drivers, but we are planning to now be able to bring those special opportunity trips back in December. So we're very, very happy about that.
And I just have a question about, while we're on the van drivers, they are employees of the town, correct?
Yes.
And how does all of this impact on Cynthia's role?
So Cynthia is still responsible for financial reports to the WRTA, but most of the reporting has been thankfully lifted from her, which means that she can actually start to use her creativity with the rest of the staff to come up with those special opportunities for our white vehicles. So there are places that the WRTA vehicles are not allowed to go, which means we'll be able to allow those places, which could be something as easily as like Solomon Pond Mall. So our white vans will be able to go to those kind of places. We are allowed to take our white vans anywhere through the state of Massachusetts as long as it's during our business hours. So there are opportunities for our white vans and for Cynthia to become creative to where we're going to go and maintain those schedules for the van drivers so everybody gets the work that they were hired for.
So the restrictions that are apparent from the WRTA do not apply to the white vans?
No.
We can use those at our discretion?
So the WRTA, we have to follow their routes, just as we always have. The white vans, as long as we maintain within the business hours, like in-state and open to anybody that wants to use the vehicles. So, which we've been doing already. It's the outside of business hours that we're trying to figure out what we can do. So MCOA is offering, I think, is it $500,000 worth of grants this year? And there's 9 opportunities for us to, or 7 opportunities for us to apply for various grants. And one of them is a $25,000 grant for transportation. So I've been working with both Casey, Cynthia, Renee to try to figure out where we can fit into that $25,000. Is it maybe purchasing one of our vehicles or acquiring another one? So I have been working with the highway department, who assists in anytime the town purchases any kind of vehicles, the highway department is involved. So I've already had a meeting with them, so they're doing a little bit of back research for me.
And that would give us total control over how we use that van?
If we were to be awarded with that, the problem is $25,000 isn't a lot of money to get a vehicle that has wheelchair accessibility. So, but however, we could even, for certain trips, even come up with a minivan with wheelchair accessibility that could hold a smaller amount. Like I said, I'm working with Highway Department to see what our options are.
Okay.
Renee?
Can I go back to, Rachel, can I go back to the December event?
Yes.
I was wondering if somebody can actually fulfill the trip that is canceled by going and taking those great pictures, and during the event for 2 hours have like a running screenshots in the hall we gather.
So I think that's a great idea. I think maybe what we could do is put it out to the community to maybe send pictures of their home to me, and we could put it in a slideshow. I think that's great. Originally, Casey came up with the idea we were going to pull down the projection screen and put up a fake fireplace, but I like your idea much better.
Those pictures running the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We could do both. We could have the fireplace on the TV screen and the projector with the photos on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Okay.
Let's see. The next one was the senior center update. So strategic plan. Alex and I met for a brief time to talk about the strategic plan, and I'm going to pass that over to you, Alex, if you want to talk about that.
So, as you know, Holly had looked for a consultant to do the strategic plan and found none. I reached out to someone whom I've worked with in the past and has done some strategic plans for the company I worked with here in Massachusetts, and he is willing to do this one for us and within the budget. He is on vacation out of state, actually out of country right now, but as soon as he returns later this month, we will start meeting with him to map out an approach with milestones and, you know, a timeline basically for doing the strategic plan. I've asked Raquel to be on the committee with me and Holly, and we will report back monthly on our progress.
Sounds good.
And that also does include with updates to the town manager, Kevin Mizikar. So we'll provide, I think one of the first things, as Alex mentioned, is we'll start with an outline in each month, hopefully be able to chip away at things. The goal originally was to have it completed for fiscal year '24. That doesn't seem feasible, so this will be like a continued approach or a continued project into fiscal year '25.
Yes.
Do we, as a board, need to have some kind of a proposal from him so we can vote on that as we did before with the other person?
So my suggestion would be to this person who I've yet to meet would be exactly what we received from the other people, is to give us a proposal or an invoice of what we would receive from him, and then bring it to the board before we even moved forward.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Next is the Veterans Luncheon. This, I'm happy to say, will be our third year that we've been able to offer Veterans Luncheon. And it is open to Shrewsbury veterans and surviving spouses with ID. Our ukulele group that meets on Thursdays at the Senior Center has graciously offered to play at the event at no charge. They have a couple of exciting little kind of add-ons that they're going to include into the luncheon. We will be reaching out to Napoli's again to see if they'll be able to provide some sort of buffet. I think that's on Casey and I's to-do list. I would request that if the board members are able to be there that day, to please RSVP as it says on the veterans flyer itself, so we know how many meals to order. Any questions on the Veterans Luncheon?
Yes, Judy.
Yeah. My question is, it says sponsored by us, and then Accessible Home Care and Shrewsbury Nursing Home. What's the nature of that sponsorship?
So they are going to provide all of the desserts for the Veterans Luncheon.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
So 1:30
Moving on, already mentioned COA Transportation, sorry about that. The Multicultural Festival is Saturday, November 4th. The time frame has been abbreviated from 12 to 4 to 12 to 3. It will be located at the Oak Middle School. We have a great group of very patient volunteers that are on this committee. You know, it being our first event, multicultural event for the town of Shrewsbury, we had some great responses and people wanting to help. We felt that it was best to kind of start the pre-planning, if you will, through the town departments. So Taylor Galusha, assistant to the town manager, has been fantastic, along with Casey, coordinating the spreadsheets so we know exactly who's performing, what vendors that will be there. Right now, we have approximately 18 booths that will be set up. Performances throughout the 3 hours. So all the performances will be taking place inside of the gymnasium. And the bleachers will be set up along with chairs for those that are unable to sit in the bleachers of the gymnasium at Oak Street. The other vendors and booths, informational, we have some henna tattooists coming. We have some food. They will be set up in the cafeteria. And again, that will be from 12 to 3 on Saturday, November 4th. Any questions on the Multicultural Festival?
Just a question for both the Veterans Luncheon and the festival, as well as some of the other. Are you needing any volunteers from the board for any of these?
So I believe,
events?
so thank you for asking. I believe that for the Multicultural Festival, we have ample enough volunteers that day. But I would encourage the attendance for sure. As far as the Veterans Luncheon, it's very important, I think, that the veterans that are coming in see the support that the town is giving them. And each year, I do ask, like, the volunteers and my staff we form a line as they're exiting the luncheon and just thanking them for their service. I think that makes all of the difference in the world. So again, I would encourage you for attending that also. And once I get into the other things, we can talk about that too.
Okay.
I know that Minu had a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just asking for the multicultural event, have you already identified, like, who are all the participants, like dancer?
Yes, yes. Yep. We will have a schedule out, hopefully by the end of next week, that we'll be able to share. As you can imagine, getting all of our everyday job essential duties done, and then incorporating this into it, it's taking us a little bit longer to share that event information. But it will go out to the public, and it will also be in like a small program the day of.
Thank you.
So we're managing the whole process with Taylor is on the committee organizing this, but this is a senior center event?
So it was initiated out of the senior center. It was actually initiated, Taylor and I had a conversation. It came out of one of our department head meetings that we met over at the library, and it talked about incorporating more multicultural opportunities within the town of Shrewsbury. And we just happened to be walking out and said, hey, what about this? And, that was 6 months ago, so here we are. Yep.
So yes, the senior
yes.
center is the lead
Yes.
organization.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't say lead. We're equal partners with Taylor and the town manager's office.
Okay. I think it's a great idea.
Yep. We'll see where it goes next year. So, moving on to the Tricks and Treats Extravaganza. So Halloween is on a Tuesday this year, which is great for us because we are open late on Tuesdays. We are encouraging people, grandparents with grandchildren, parents, the school committee, all of the schools to come by. It's for a very short time, 5 to 6. I didn't want to take up everybody's whole Halloween evening. If you haven't been over to the senior center already, it's kind of spooktacular over there. And we're encouraging people to come in. We are planning to hide some Halloween eggs that are not filled. They'll be throughout the senior center. We encourage each child to come find like 10 or 12 and then be able to come up to our spooky spider cauldron and grab some tricks or treats. So seniors are welcome, costumes are welcome, come on by. We're gonna have some really bad food for you and apples and additional items. So I hope you can stop by. And I understand if you can't, because I know people like to make sure you can hand out treats at your home too. Let's see. Oh, the community survey. So I appreciate everybody's responses that I received for the Council on Aging Communication Survey. There are 14 questions, with the 15th being an opportunity for people to leave their emails if they want to receive information from us. Along with your submissions, we received a couple from Elder Services of Worcester, as well as Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. We had the town manager's office, who frequently sends out surveys, be able to give us some great suggestions on how to narrow it, make sure it's about communication, so we're not kind of staring sideways. And we will be having this survey run until the end of December, at which case we will then pull all of the results that we get, and hopefully by the end of January, or maybe the February meeting, we'll have a better understanding of the next step forward. Any questions on the survey? And I want to thank Judy for taking the survey and pointing out that I had to click the wrong button, and you couldn't click all, and you could only click one. So I appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, so moving forward, so just as I mentioned that we are open late on Tuesdays, and knowing that the winter months are coming up, understanding food insecurity, I reached out to Assabet Valley High School, who has a culinary program, and asked them what would it be possible for their students to be able on Tuesdays provide us soup and sandwiches. It would come at a cost, and it was fantastic. As soon as I sent out the email, within minutes, they responded back, yes, we would like to be part of this. So there's a couple of logistics that we have to figure out, cost being one of them, but we thought it was a great opportunity to be able to bring seniors into the senior center, have a free, small, but yet social meal at the senior center, especially during the winter months. Knowing that, one thing to keep in mind though is that when school is on vacation or in the summer, that doesn't happen. So we would have to kind of figure out something else to do while Assabet wasn't able to help us out. But they were very eager to get on board and work with me. I just wondered, knowing that, is there any questions from the board? And I apologize for not sharing this earlier. This just happened yesterday.
So will the students actually come and serve as wait staff and because I know we have a shortage of volunteers currently that are available to do that. Would that Assabet program provide for that service as well?
No, so they mainly work out of their schools when they do their catering. I haven't been there to eat, but I know that they have some sort of dining
Yes.
experience there.
Yes.
So they did say that we would have to pick it up on Tuesdays. So I would be looking for a volunteer to go pick those things up, each week, and it could be a staff member also, but I think it's well worth the experience of trying to incorporate that. I know, Laura.
Yes. All right.
So is this going to be lunch, or is this going to be a dinner later?
Dinner.
Dinner, okay.
Yeah, 4:30 to 5:30 would be my plan.
And so we would pick it up, but the students would not be there. That's what we just said?
Yes.
Okay. And is there, okay, so that if we were going to have them, my other question was going to be, do they have to be quarried, just like we have other students who are working with the seniors for cleanup or repair or anything like that?
Yep, so if they were coming in, we would certainly have them quarried, but they're not. So what it will be is it will open up additional opportunities for volunteering at the senior center, which is nice because right now we don't have any evening volunteers for Tuesday, but I feel like this is the first approach to getting people into the senior center. And we can certainly use this as a pilot program, taking into consideration whatever the cost is that they come back with. I did ask it to be limited at 25 to begin with, and then we can see what the reaction is back and whether or not we ever want to expand that number.
25
25
customers?
people. Yes.
Okay.
So We would have to go to Assabet with transportation to bring the food back here. And it would be up to us as a senior center to provide volunteers to distribute and clean and
Yes.
maintain that
Yes.
whole process.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
One of the opportunities that's coming up that you might have seen in the November newsletter when I gave you a sneak peek is I don't remember, I think it's November 7th. We have 2 different times that day that we have opened up, that we're inviting the community in to learn about the volunteer opportunities. This will be one of those things that, that is shared.
Okay.
Just a lack of knowledge question. Is our kitchen in the senior center usable for cooking there?
So the senior center kitchen is for reheating and prep work, not for cooking.
Okay.
So when I did speak with, asked them, I believe her name is Jessica, her last name escapes me, but I asked for things to be prepared in bulk. So like a big pot of soup that we could serve, a big platter of sandwiches versus bag sandwiches. And one of the reasons for that too is to add that little extra piece of volunteer to guest having that conversation, you know, here's your sandwich, instead of just putting something that's already pre-wrapped. And because they asked us if we wanted a cup of soup with a lid and things like that. I don't want it to be, I'd rather have it be a little bit more formal and a little bit more interacting than something that was just put right in front of somebody.
Judy?
When are you looking at starting this?
I'm hoping to start this in January.
Great.
We had, I'm assuming we had sort of tabled the luncheons that we were going to supply because of the inability of sufficient staff to support that. Are we just continuing that and focusing on this instead?
No, not necessarily. So unfortunately, we are experiencing shortage of Meals on Wheels volunteerism over at the senior center. We have enough drivers, but we are in need of people to come in and help prep the lunches that go out, help prep the congregate dining that happens at 11:30, help with the cleanup, which is one of the reasons we decided to do that volunteer day. So Beth Murray, the nutrition manager from ESWA, who works out of our senior center, will also be there to give additional information as well as have those applications ready for people that might be interested. One of the things that we thought of to sweeten the pot for those people that showed up was I again reached out to the YMCA, who've just been fantastic, and we are going to purchase some day passes at a minimal expense for people whoever shows up to be entered into kind of like a drawing as a thank you for coming in, for inquiring about what volunteer opportunities are available, and because of that, you know, this is another opportunity that comes from it. So we're hoping that we get some foot traffic in that day. In addition to that, I wanted to mention that I've been thinking about doing the same thing for our Facebook page. So for those that aren't aware, somehow the Facebook for the Council on Aging Department was compromised, and I can post words, I can't post flyers or pictures or anything like that. So I had to yesterday recreate our COA department Facebook page, and I've asked on our original page to please like the other page. I did everything I could possibly think of, including reaching out to people that are tech savvy, and they were unable to save the original. So, so with that said, keep an eye out for the new Facebook page, and I was hoping, you know, maybe we can do the same thing that we're doing with the volunteer day. You know, if you share this page with a friend, you'll be entered into a drawing, just a little bit of an incentive to get more attraction. Any questions? I know I just delivered a lot.
Right now, we are not going to reinstitute the free
Oh, yes.
luncheons.
So we can absolutely do that, but I wouldn't I would cap it at a lesser amount than we did in the following years, because, or the previous years, because they just don't have the ability to, they don't have enough volunteers to keep up with it. So I would hate to overwork the volunteers that are in there until the ESWA has more volunteers that help us in the dining area.
I asked the question as to how many people normally come on a regular basis for luncheon, and I think it was between 15 and 20. I don't remember the numbers last winter when we offered them free lunches. Does anyone recall what those numbers were?
Some of them were, well, we capped it at 50, I believe, for people, and I think our biggest number was like 620 in a month, which is
That's
giant.
Considerably more than
Yes.
15 a day.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. But again, ESWA has said, you know, as much as we want to support you being able to do that, until they have the manpower, it's, you know, it's something that we should hold off on.
Okay. Thank you.
And I mentioned the grants, and I think that is all that I have, unless anybody has any other things that we to talk about.
Actually, may I forgot a couple things, just a couple short announcements if I could. We had a flu clinic on Monday, and V&A Care is the one who conducted the flu clinic, and we had 18 people, and I think that was a good turnout. I don't know if that was the first flu clinic or the first flu clinic in a while. And secondly, our 4-part nutrition series by UMass Extension, the last session will be coming up on Monday, next Monday. And that starts at 1 o'clock. It goes from 1 to 2:30. And she usually has something luscious to taste, like we had pumpkin soup, last time, so, yeah.
Actually, I forgot. Casey actually has some fantastic news to share.
Yeah, so at the MCOA plenary session on Thursday, Secretary Chen actually mentioned a total of 3 COAs for exceptional things that have been done by them, including Shrewsbury, for the Good Neighbor Outreach Program. So that was really exciting. You know, kind of encouraging people to do programs like that. That was really great. And some of the ideas that we got, you know, for the winter social mixer, that was something that kind of came from one of the other towns that was recognized in her speech as well. So it was a really great information. We're also working on Dementia Friendly. One of the sessions that I attended at the MCOA was funding opportunities for Dementia Friendly. So I have a lot of information to kind of sort through to get Shrewsbury to be dementia friendly, and probably age friendly as well. They kind of go hand in hand, and we'll be working with MCOA grants for that as well.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. You want to talk about
Yes.
car detailing?
Yeah, so I reached out to the Girl Scout Patty Milton, and she then ran it by the Scout leaders in one of the meetings, and presently she's looking for troop and girls who are interested in doing this. So she's looking for those kids right now to do that. So she'll let us know when it's ready.
If this should happen, I think the spring would be a great time, and I can certainly pull together on behalf of the Council on Aging Department certificates for those Girl Scouts, because I think that they earn badges, I'm not sure. So I'd be happy to, when you have updates, let me know. That way I can add them into the newsletter.
I'll let Patty know about it. I think the certificate will be nice information.
Sure.
Right. So, yeah.
Some, as a scout leader, it's helpful to put like number of hours that they were there, because sometimes depending on which scout requirement, either in Boy Scouts or in Girl Scouts, they sometimes have a certain number of service hours related to their achievements. So it's always good to put that on there
Okay.
for whatever certificate you give them.
I'll make sure I pass it by you first.
Yes.
I just have I would like an update on what's going on with the patio.
So the company that is coming to do the patio is expected to be here, I believe, on October 30th, sometime next week. I think they had an opportunity to be between the 30th or November 4th, I believe. So that should be done within the next time we meet. Very exciting. And just to mention on the grants again, one of the things that Renee is going to be working on is there's an opportunity for, I believe it's modernization of your senior center. So we're going to gear it to the outside modernization by, actually, Renee, if you want to speak about it, you're.
So I wanted to plan a garden, a perennial garden, as well as planting opportunities for vegetables and herbs and things like that. So I'll look into designing various levels that people would be able to access, whether they be, up higher for people who are wheelchair bound or for people who can stand, as well as on the ground and things like that. And it'll be a nice outdoor space that people can enjoy at their leisure, or we could do programs out there and things like that.
I'm wondering whether Tower Hill Botanical Garden might give us some expert advice and hopefully do it without charge, because they're very good about reaching out to the community.
Yeah,
And I can certainly explore that option.
that would be great, yeah.
Well, one of the things that we spoke about was making sure that all of your senses are combined into the garden that's outdoors. So so that way, something for hearing and smelling and things like that. And one of our models, if you will, is just even on the other side of Town Hall, there's a beautiful walk garden that has like a water display and chimes and movement, and we plan on incorporating bird feeders and things like that too.
Nice.
Be a lot of fun.
Great. Under new or old business, I also attended one day of the MCOA conference, 3/4 of a day. I'm sorry I missed your presentation. I was not able to attend that day. I went on a day that Casey couldn't attend, so that worked out well. They were very gracious about letting me take one of her days. I didn't meet a single other board member from around the state. I met a lot of your counterparts and yours, but it was pretty interesting. I attended several different sessions. One on defrauding seniors, put on by an FBI agent in the region, that was pretty impressive. He works with some big numbers of fraudulent, situations that happen in the region. Just hearing some of the challenges of managing senior centers from your counterparts and working with the senior populations was pretty interesting. The universal issues that everyone deals with, a number of new ideas and best practices from the other senior centers that was helpful. I found it pretty educational and learned a lot and made good contacts, and try to go again next year. That was great. Otherwise, thank you for electing me chair. I'll try to live up to the standards of my predecessors, and appreciate all the help anyone can give me, and look forward to working with you and your staff also.
Great.
Any other old or new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Signify by getting up and leaving, I guess.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.